Hey everybody, how's it going? It's going to be World War I or World War II. I'm going to try to do it for you in 3 parts. This is going to be World War II Part 1. I'm going to go from 1939 to 1941. The invasion of Poland, the attack on Poland, which is the immediate cause of the war, to the invasion of the USSR. So I'm going to show you some maps. Now be advised, I also sent you a copy of the PowerPoint of World War II into Schoology. You're going to use that for reference when I direct you to it. A lot of it won't make sense to you because there's lots of pictures that you won't understand without me explaining it, but I'll direct you to some videos and whatnot I have there. Anyway, we'll step over to my map area. I'm lucky I have this really cool downstairs classroom, which I use for a variety of things, mostly, well, always just riding my bike and working out and whatnot, and doing different things, but now it's our classroom. So good thing I have this map ready to roll. So, 1939, Germany attacks Poland after they cut a deal with the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union and the Germans cut a deal saying they won't attack each other for 20 years. And when Hitler and Stalin make a deal, it won't work out for sure. And that ends up blowing up, and we'll talk about that later. But when Germany attacks Poland, Britain and France will declare war on Germany. Now, the Germans unleash what's called blitzkrieg, or lightning war. So the Germans will take all their tanks. Between the war years, the Germans decided to make revolutionary tank strategies. And they did many innovative things, which kind of pioneered this blitzkrieg. A guy named Hans Guderian decided that the Germans should organize all their tanks into small armies by themselves without soldiers, because the soldiers would just slow down the tanks. So they got that all set. Planes following the tanks, so they race far ahead. It's very fast. They strike quick, they strike hard. The world's not prepared for this. This is not how wars have typically been fought. The soldiers come in after that and do things that infantry soldiers do. Also worth noting about the German tanks are equipped with FM radio and headsets, so they can talk to each other. This is something else the Allies weren't prepared about. Now, as you're preparing your Causes of World War II paper, our Axis countries are Japan, Germany, and Italy, who never worked together. That's a major failure on their part. And the Allies are basically the rest of the world, but I'm going to mention pretty much in this the United States, Great Britain, Russia, or the Soviet Union, and France is on both sides, and I'll explain that later. So that's that. So Poland is quickly vanquished. The Germans are then going to turn around and unleash an attack on France and the Low Countries. We talk about the Netherlands and Belgium and Luxembourg, and they go around the Maginot Line. They completely wrap up the French army. They defeat the entire French army in about 1 month. It's a ridiculous military collapse on the part of the French, who are completely unprepared for World War II. The British are able to evacuate about 350,000 soldiers, the British Army, to train the new British Army, that they're going to make. And that's called The Miracle of Dunkirk. There's a cool movie made about that. Maybe you could check that movie out. Dunkirk is the name of the movie. That's a true story. It's a great movie. And the British are going to then brace themselves for the Nazis unleashing on Great Britain. The Germans want to attack England, but they got to neutralize the British Air Force. And this is going to be called the Battle of Britain. The Germans throw everything they got at the British. The British have awesome planes known as the Spitfire and the Hurricane. They're fighting on their own soil. If German planes shoot them out of the sky, guys will parachute to the ground. They get picked up by pedestrians who take them to the next airport. They get on a plane, they fly up again and get back in the dogfight. That's when planes are fighting in the air. The British also do something else which is interesting, is they invent radar. Now, if you move in here, all along the coast of Scotland and down here through England and Wales, they have these large towers. The Germans don't know what the towers are, but they notice that every time they come in and they start flying from France and coming from Germany to attack Britain, that the British Air Force seems to know exactly where they are, and that's because they do. They can see the incoming planes, and no one knows the British have invented Air Force. So they start attacking these towers, and they almost knock England out of the war. I mean, it's England by itself against the Nazi Empire, and they're almost to the breaking point when the Germans do something by mistake. They mistakenly drop bombs on London, and the British are outraged. This German pilot is flying back, London's blacked out, the lights are all turned off. They drop the bombs because they don't want to fly back into France with bombs and maybe land with bombs on board. So they drop the bombs. Turns out they bombed London. This outrages Winston Churchill, who's the British Prime Minister. He in turn, that next night, orders an attack on Berlin, and the German and British warplanes bomb Berlin, which outrages Hitler, who said that there would never be bombs falling on Berlin. Now the Battle of Britain changes to let's bomb London. So for 57 consecutive days, the Germans bomb London and other major cities. This is called the Blitz of England. The English people have to live underground. They go in subways and they stay down there during air raids. But all it does is it strengthens their resolve. They rally around their new leader, Winston Churchill. He proves inspiration to the people of England, and they have their backs against the wall, but they have total faith in their new government, their leader, and their ability to survive. Now, during this time period, the Americans, who are off here, begin sending supplies. Lend-Lease is something else you need to know. Now, quickly I'll mention, I'm going to point out slides number 5 and slide number 9 on my PowerPoint. There's a cool thing on the German tanks, and there's a cool scene from the movie Pearl Harbor, which is kind of a bad movie, but it has great battle footage. And there's a cool scene of the Battle of Britain, so you can see the Germans and the British Air Forces fighting it out. That's awesome. There's pictures of the radar towers. I have all sorts of cool stuff. There's a bio on Winston Churchill. There's something on the Blitz of London. It's all worth checking out. So the Americans are sending supplies called Lend-Lease. Winston Churchill, we can't sell stuff to them because it's against the law to sell stuff to a country at war. But Franklin Roosevelt, the U.S. president, revises the Neutrality Acts, and he says we're going to lend this stuff to Britain. So we begin lending stuff to Britain on a cash and carry basis. So the British have to send their ships across the Atlantic, pay cash, gold, for supplies, and bring it back. And that's what happens. And we'll later do this with the Soviet Union. It really keeps England in the war. It's very important. So you should check out that small video too. After this battle drags on for about 9 months, Hitler tires of this entire battle, and he's going to turn his attention to the east, and the Germans will launch the largest attack, the largest invasion in history into the Soviet Union. It's called Operation Barbarossa. They'll attack with about 6 million soldiers, thousands of tanks, thousands of planes, and 3 massive armies. Army Group North, Army Group Center, Army Group South. And that's going to become what's known as the Eastern Front. So England will survive, France will be conquered, half of France becomes occupied by Germany, and the other half of France is known as a German collaborator helping out the German government. There is also a French resistance we'll mention. So after the Germans attack the Soviet Union, the war turns to the east. We are going to pick up with part 2, the attack on Pearl Harbor and the American entrance into the war, and the development of the stuff going on with the final solution, the Germans starting to construct the death camps and all that type of stuff. So again, here's your assignment. I want you to watch one of those videos from the Pearl Harbor scene on slide 9, or anything from slide 5. There's like 4 videos, they're all short. Watch one video, and I want you to have a 1-sentence response to it. I'll set that all up in Schoology. So I hope you liked the video. I'm sorry if it was rushed, and I know I missed a ton of stuff, but I'm just a simple man doing the best I can down here in my basement. Now it's a beautiful day. School is out. I'm getting on my bike, and I'm going for a ride. You guys have a good day.